Hi guys, my name is Noni Matigela. Welcome to the Noni M podcast. So I want us to do a catch up on the Jocelyn case this week of the month end of April 2025. So I'm going to read an article for you, but because we have come to an end of the case and we are waiting on the judgment from the judge, which is Judge Erasmus, on Friday, the 2nd of May, that's when we are going to have the judgment regarding the fate of the three accused persons, which is Raquel Kelly Smith, the mother to Jocelyn, who is missing, who went missing last year on on the 19th of February 2024. And her stepfather or the boyfriend to her mother, Peter, and the friend to her father, to the stepfather or mother's boyfriend, Steve Ono, and the aunt, which is Laurentia Lombard. Those are the four people that were suspect, but Lombard quickly turned to a state witness, and then she became a Section 204 witness. So that's what we are going to be looking into, summarize all of that, but I have this article quickly to read for you. It's going to give us a brief summary and a brief of what happened the entire, like from back then to now, to where we are today. Judgment Day approaches in the Jocelyn Smith trial. This was published 5 hours ago by Mandilake Chwete from IOL. The presiding officer in the Jocelyn Smith trial concluded Wednesday's proceedings by confirming that judgment would be handed down on Friday. Judge Nathan Erasmus announced this after the closing arguments were completed by the parties. The 6-year-old girl went missing from her Middle Post Saldanha Bay home on February 19th, 2024. Her mother, Raquel Kelly Smith, her boyfriend, Jacqueline Bubita Apolis, and friend Stevie Van Ryn were arrested 2 weeks later and charged with kidnapping and human trafficking, which they pleaded not guilty to. Judge Erasmus said he expects many people would be making their way to Saldanha Bay to the Western Cape High Court, sitting in the White City Multipurpose Center in Daysaville. The hall has been accommodating the court since the beginning of the trial on March 3rd. Judge Erasmus said, I take it there will be a lot of people. There will be logistical arrangements, especially if the court is full. I'll be making a ruling on the seating arrangements. He said he also expected politicians to be at court, but would not make special arrangements for them, but would only prioritize the accused and the victims' family members. The trial, which has gripped the community since Jocelyn's disappearance from Middle Post in February 2024, entered its final phase when both the state and defense concluded their case a week ago. During the closing arguments, Jocelyn's mom, Kelly's lawyer, said it is unlikely that she confided in witnesses about any plan to traffic her 6-year-old daughter, a central allegation in the state's case. Delivering closing arguments, defense lawyer Rishin launched a scathing attack on the credibility of the state's key witness, Laurentia Rance Lombard. All the incidents that were testified about by Ms. Lombard, as well as the accused, happened under the influence of the white powder. That's what Kelly's lawyer told the court. He reminded Judge Erasmus that Lombard had admitted to using TIC 2 to 3 times a day in February 2024 and had been a habitual user for 16 years. Even when explaining the discrepancies in her confession, she claims her mental faculties were impaired. She confirmed she was unreliable when she consumed the white powder. He argued that time discrepancies in her account were not merely minor inconsistencies, but serious credibility issues. And then I quote, there could be discrepancies in the timeline, and it came out that most of the people didn't have a sense of time. No one wore timepieces, but Miss Lombard's conduct goes beyond that, he said. He said, he characterized her as an opportunist who exploited Kelly Smith for food and favors and ultimately turned on her to save herself when legal consequences loomed. She admitted she was promised money by Kelly. She went along with that. She was going to gain. The money wasn't coming and she was going to prison, she turned. She would have said anything to distance herself. He added, she lied even when given the last opportunity to speak the truth. She is a single witness. The cautionary rule applies. Her evidence is so poor it cannot be relied upon. He dismissed her story about hearing a conversation through a broken window in which Kelly allegedly discussed selling Jocelyn as fabricated. She couldn't have said it. She must have been present. That story was made up. He told the court that the state had failed to prove its case beyond reasonable doubt and said there was no corroborating evidence from accused 1 or 2, Police and Van Ryn to support Lombard's version. There is no common purpose. If you consider the evidence alone, it is not just weak, it is dangerous to convict someone on that. Responding in the state's closing arguments, prosecutor advocate Zelda Swanepoel considered that Lombard was not a perfect witness. She says, I concede she wasn't the best witness. There can be criticism, but the test is whether the evidence is so bad that no court would believe it, and that is not the case here. Swanepoel said the state case did not rest solely on Lombard's version. If it had only been Miss Lombard's evidence, that would be a problem, but it wasn't. We've put the puzzle together piece by piece. She said both accused 1 and 2 told Kelly to tell the truth. 3 people knew the plan, and they all pointed fingers at Kelly. They said, you know what you did. Swanepoel also defended the credibility of the state witness, Stephen Kutse, who testified that Kelly told him Metapos would become like a movie scene. She described Kutse as an excellent witness and said his testimony was supported by reports and his conduct. There is no way that he made this up. The only one who wanted fame was Kelly Smith. She told people, Jocelyn made me famous. Judge Erasmus interjected during the argument. This case is not about where Jocelyn is, it's about the accused being charged with criminal offenses, and the state bears the honors to prove that. Swanepoel counted, if everything is considered, there is there is a call for Kelly to answer. Ne? So those are the closing arguments of the case. Ne? And then let's hear more on that, guys. Let's hear more on that because sorry, my chair keeps taking me down, and I'm sorry about that. Closing arguments in Jocelyn Smith's trial reveal shocking contradictions. As the trial of Jocelyn Smith edges toward its conclusion, closing arguments at the Western Cape High Court Wednesday are poised to reveal further tensions and contradictions surrounding the shocking case. Following an intense day of confrontation between State Prosecutor Advocate Zelda Swanepoel and Defense Counsel Fanny Hamse, representing Jacqueline Buta Police, who is accused number 1. The focus now shifts to the legal teams of Stephen Van Ryn, who is accused number 2, and accused number 3, Raquel Kelly Smith. Judge Erasmus expected to deliberate on the matter and possibly deliver a verdict by Friday. The courtroom was filled with palpable tension as the prosecution and the defense elaborated the reliability of key witnesses Laurentia Kearns Rance Lombard, whose Section 204 testimony is central to the prosecution case. Initially charged alongside the accused, Lombard 10 state witness alleging that the three individuals conspired to sell 6-year-old Jocelyn Smith for 20,000 rand. Jocelyn disappeared from her home in Middlepost, Saldanha Bay. This case ignited a nationwide outcry and has left communities grappling with the dread of their child exploitation. In his rebuttal, Advocate Hamse seized upon what he termed material contradictions in Lombard's testimony. A particular point of contention was an inconsistency regarding when Lombard supposedly overheard a conversation between Buta and Kelly concerning Jocelyn. While initially claiming the conversation took place on February 18, she later revised her account to the morning of the day Jocelyn vanished. That is material discrepancy, Hamse asserted, further questioning Lombard's credibility by highlighting inconsistencies in her various statements regarding the alleged adoption. Judge Nathan Erasmus acknowledges these concerns, noting that certain inconsistencies existed within Rand's statements in contrast to the evidence provided by the defense. There are significant issues with consistency, he remarked, although he pointed out that the accused had opted not to testify, limiting their ability to provide a direct contradiction of Rand's narrative. Advocate Swanepoel remained steadfast in her position, countering the defense claims by arguing that while minor discrepancies may exist, the essence of Rand's testimony held firm, corroborated by additional witnesses and physical evidence. She referred to Nico Stephen Kudze's testimony, where he recalled Lombard's disclosure of a plan to sell Jocelyn back in August 2023. Kudze detailed the same 20,000 figure and motivations for the anticipated sale, elements that appeared to resonate throughout Lombard's account and other evidence. Moments later, evidence presented to the court includes a video from social media wherein Van Ryn described activities of the morning Jocelyn disappeared, alleging that he, Kelly, and Lombard had been smoking Mandrax. This narrative mirrors Lombard's version and was corroborated through multiple accounts, including Van Ryn's own statements. As closing arguments progressed, Hamse made a point by asserting that the two primary narratives, the one put forth by Rand and an extrajudicial statement from a police, are incompatible and cannot both be true. Looking ahead, the courtroom is set to witness the defense strategies of Van Ryn and Kelly, who are expected to challenge the assertion by Swanepoel that they acted with shared intent and awareness of Jocelyn's exploitation. Swanepoel has portrayed the case as a calculated conspiracy driven by financial desperation and a toxic relationship dynamic between Kelly and her police. She believes that the contradictory accounts and refusal of the accused to testify only further indicates collective guilt, stating the only reasonable inference is that Jocelyn was sold for exploitation and all three stood to benefit. As anticipation builds, all eyes will be on Judge Erasmus, who gears up to issue a ruling that carries profound implications both legally and emotionally for the community as they await closure of the distressing case. So those are the situations when it comes to the Jocelyn's disappearing case. And guys, it's one of those stressing that you can't, like my brain it becomes in a standstill because I really can't fathom how Kelly, the mother of Jocelyn, can sell her child. But at the same time, when people are using the white powder, a lot can happen. They can do a lot, those people, when they are using the white powder. And also how Kelly showed no emotion whatsoever at some point, but there were days that she was crying, but mostly she showed no emotions whatsoever. And also, you all know, guys, and also this involvement of Ayanda, Rand, there's a lot of things that are shady. Also, when it comes to Ayanda, Rand, and Makalima, all that situation, there's a lot of things that are happening there. So we are yet to hear on Friday what's going to happen. I think I'm going to go live and listen to the case live on my YouTube channel, when we listen to the judge bringing forth his judgment regarding what he thinks happened. Anyway, let's talk the comment section. What are your thoughts when it comes to this? What are you hoping will happen? Do you think that the 3 accused should be found guilty of selling Jocelyn as per Rand's claims? Do you think Kelly knows something about the disappearance of her child? Do you think the 2 guys that she's arrested with also, they know something about the disappearance of the child? Or Rance and her boyfriend know something about it and they are framing these 3 stupid fools? What are your thoughts? Stupid, fools, dumb, dermagal, human beings. What are your thoughts? Because now I'm calling them stupid fools because they are using the white powder and now it got them into this shebang. Let's talk. Thank you so much. I don't know how I feel about the case and I don't know what the judge should do. I'm also confused. It's a lot. It is a lot to consider for the judge. It is a lot also for the judge to come to a conclusion about this. This is too much. Yeah, it is emotional. He needs, a lot is going on, guys. Anyway, I'll see you on our next video. Bye-bye.